Okay, we're almost ready to get ready. We got everybody here. Okay, first of all, my name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic, and I like the fact he's all coming out. There are so many people that have donated so much time and work. Where's Chris at? Who set up all these tables? There he is over there in a red sweater, all by himself. And the person behind the scenes that makes all the ziti magic, my wife, I don't know where she's at. She's finally here somewhere there. Thanks. Oh! Everybody's going to Weight Watchers tomorrow. Thanks, son. Anyway, Pete's going to come up here and share some of Pete. So please help and welcome Pete. We're going to pass these baskets. If you've already given, give some more. If you haven't given, give twice as much. Welcome, Pete.
My name is Peter, recovered alcoholic. Grateful to be alive and sober, and by the sake of a place called Anonymous. And I can see Ron can't count until time. He told me 1:45. He's looking for me at 1:30. Grateful to be here. Thank you, Ron, for your generosity in having Marion and I up here and be a part of this day. This is about the third one I've done with you, and we need to give it up for you for a great event. It's great to be here and see so many folks that I don't see too often unless I get up here. Great to see Jimmy Ameribeth, who I adore. And great to see Freddie. That's the corrupt table. It's just great to be here. Freddie called me. He says, can you hold down 15 seats for me? So I became a maitre d' for Freddie as well. Ron, 15 right here. We were got out of the airport and drove to Princeton, New Jersey, where we were going to hunker down for the weekend, and we realized we were way too far. We decided to come back to Doylestown and listen to Ron's directions. And Siri took me and Marion on an excursion, I don't know where we went. And all these open fields and these farmhouses and silos and horses. And Marion's going, isn't this absolutely wonderful? And one part of me is going, yes. The other part of me is, God, get me out of here. I'll never drink again because I don't know. I was going to call Jimmy for directions. It's great to be here. And happy holiday to everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be grateful for. I know I do. On this journey in Alcoholics Anonymous and all the things that God has removed from my life. And in the removal, I find things that were always there that I couldn't see that were present all along. A quick story. It was a bunch of years ago before I got sober. My family was having their usual Thanksgiving get-together, which looked like The Sopranos revisited, but everyone was hunkered down at my uncle's house in Brooklyn, New York, and I was, of course, invited. But I'm alcoholic, and I can't show up on time, and I can't show up sober. And I got there late in the day, and I was drunk. And I vaguely remember some of what was going on, but I do remember my dad in the kitchen hollering really loud, and he has this booming voice when he hollers, and my uncle standing in front of him, and I don't know what really was going on. I couldn't take a look at the fact that I showed up late and very drunk. And I remember sitting on the couch and passing out. And it was, I don't know how much later, but my aunt and my dad's wife picking me up and taking me up to my little cousin's bedroom to put me to sleep. And it was one of these beds that looked like a matchbox car with a propeller on the front. That's what they put me in. And many hours later, I came to and walked down the steps. I was soaking wet. I was sweating profusely. And everyone was gone, except my aunt and uncle. They were sitting on the couch. And when my aunt got up, I remember she didn't really know how to approach me. She was brokenhearted, but I could tell she had some anger in her as well. And my uncle says, I'll walk you out, which wasn't a good sign. And the first thing he says, you better call your dad. And he was very upset. And in my alcoholic delusional mind, because in that place I can never see truth, and I'm not in touch with what you feel, I'm totally consumed with me. All I can think of, and I remember telling my uncle this, what is his problem? Why does he want to talk to me? What is everyone's problem? Because in my mind, I got here. I passed out, I upset everyone, but I could not see that. And I remember reading something, how we live life forward and learn it back. I couldn't see that moving forward. Getting sober and looking back, especially when we get to step 9, when we're writing inventory in 4. And we're seeing these things, and although I'm angry with something, I look at Colin Ford and says, well, look at what I did to contribute to that. I couldn't see it back then. Around December 19th, which was maybe 3 weeks later, I got arrested in Lower Manhattan. And my dad had to get some fancy high-priced lawyer from Long Island, New York, to get me out of that jam, and he did. And so I ruined Christmas. Because while everyone was trying to celebrate Christmas together, my dad's wondering, what am I going to do with this guy? Because there's a case pending now. And my dad had me going away for 100 years. I mean, they threw everything at me. They had with possession, attempted to sell, resisting arrest, drunk and disorderly, and it went on and on and on. Because that's what police like to do when they arrest you sometimes. And quite frankly, I deserved everything coming to me. I couldn't see that. I would just get me out of this jam, and I ruined New Year's Eve as well, and New Year's Day. And that was just one of the many stories that I infected my family with. You know, the harm I do to people appears to be external, but the damage is always internal. Because they walk with that. They walk with the broken heart. They walk with the betrayal. They walk with all of that, and I could not see that. And over again, I would repeat that type of behavior, expecting different results, expecting you to react differently. And when you didn't, I would say, well, it's my life. What is the problem? I could not grasp that they were so concerned about my life more than I was. That's why the big book says years of living with an alcoholic will make any child or wife neurotic. The whole family's become ill. I could not see that. Alcoholism will not permit me to see that. My pride and ego will not allow me to see that. And that's why when we first get sober, when a new person says, I'm doing great, and I want to tell them, you're not doing that great. Either that or you haven't woke up yet. Because as soon as we wake up and we survey the damage, and that's not done from the head, that's done from the spirit, that's done from the soul, because the soul always knows the truth, the soul always sees the truth. The soul knows where to go and what to say and what to do and who to be with. But I'm so immersed in the mind where the illness lives, I can't see any of that until I begin to wake up. And then I go, oh my God, give me a drink, just to keep that down. And unless I'm surrounded by different people, AA people, who are putting new software in here and sharing your brokenness with me and how you got out, I'm going to go run and drink again. Because that's how powerful my alcoholism is. And the only thing that's going to keep me from going all the way out the door is the grace of God. But I'm here to report to you that the grace of God doesn't equal spiritual fitness. It's just a gift, an unwarranted gift that I get for being God's kid, because God doesn't have any stepchildren. But that doesn't mean I'm spiritually fit. There's some work that needs to be done. On June 23rd, 1988, my separation from alcohol, I experienced my first GOD. That was the gift of desperation that was given to me. And I was one of them, and I hear lots of people say this, how hard I worked for my sobriety, how hard I'm working for my sobriety. I'm here to tell you, I have not done nothing for my sobriety. It's been given to me. What I was given on June 23rd, 1988 was redemption, was given salvation, was given mercy, where I could finally get traction, see some truth about my condition. And given the gift of desperation, I was given salvation. And in that place is where the spiritual awakening actually began. We talk about, as the result of these 12 steps, we'll have this transformation, this inward transformation that manifests out there. That'll happen if we follow directions. If I tweak the directions, if I play the directions, I'm going to get my brand of sobriety. But if I want what the book has to offer under the tutelage of a teacher, a sponsor, I'll get what the book's talking about, the way God sees fit. I need to be willing to be made fundamentally different. So much so that the appearance or the thought of my will sickens me. That I'm looking to be in line with God's will and practice fidelity to my God. It took me a long time to finally come to the realization, after relapsing year after year after year, that being in recovery means this. I ask lots of folks, why you want to go through the steps? Well, I want to get better. I want to know God. I want to have what people have to offer. I want to be able to make amends. And think all good answers, but not the answer. The reason why I do the steps is to experience dying, the death of self, for successful living. And I didn't come to Alcoholics Anonymous just to not drink, to be free of alcohol. I was locked up and got free of alcohol. What I'm here is to recover from alcoholism. And just putting the plug in the jug, and if that floats your boat, I'm not here to change you. It's just not my experience. I'm not here to recover from drinking. I'm here to recover from alcoholism, which means I have to submit and surrender to this work under the guidance of a sponsor, completely submit and release. That I'm not playing by my rules anymore, but by the power's rules, God's rules. And to follow directions. And that came out of desperation. I'm not that bright. I never went to college. I'm not that insightful. I'm not that experienced. I'm sober almost 30 years. I'm not that experienced on how to do life. So I submit to doing life on God's terms. At least there's a blueprint and experiences from the elders in Alcoholics Anonymous. How do you do this? How do you go for a job interview? How do you go out on a date? How do I report to work every day? I don't have that kind of endurance. Am I willing to be made fundamentally different? Then I fall into, I really love God's will, but today I like my will just a little bit more. And being awake makes me sickening. It sickens me to even think that I want to run the show again. That's a long way for some of us. A long way in, not out. A long way in, not up. Recover from alcoholism. And for me, it took a long time to find out what I actually suffered from. I went through 7 treatment centers. You would think somewhere in there, and I'm sure they did, I was probably not listening. Maybe they didn't, I don't know. Tell me specifically what was wrong with me. And what I did year after year after year was blame my mom's suicide, and Mom was alcoholic. I blamed the fact that my dad and I were in 2 different planets. We never got along. I'm so afraid of this man, that's why. I don't know how to be an older brother to my kid brothers, that's why. And it just kept pointing fingers. But at the end of the day, I had to take a look at, I was my own problem. Me, Pete Marinelli, was Pete Marinelli's problem. I had to take a look at how afraid I was. I walked in fear for so long, and I'll be honest with you. If we all did a gut check, in fact, we're still afraid. What people think of us, how we sound when we speak, when I walk into a room, am I dressed okay? Am I dressing in front of the mirror because I like to get dressed? Am I getting dressed in front of the mirror because I want to impress other people? That's fear. Staying in toxic relationships because I'm afraid of getting out. I'll be alone. Oh my God, I'll stay. And it goes on and on and on. The need to be recognized, and the big one is the need to control. My big book says we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. The reason why they're saying that, because I play God. I want to control. And my prayer should be a method to control. And I go deeper into prayer to control, to prove God loves me and God exists. It's all about control. June 23rd, 1988, came to face with my own demons in this gift of desperation where God stopped the runaway train. I couldn't pull that off on my own because that particular day, I'll remember, I'm sure, until God takes me home, it wasn't a plan to quit drinking that day. In fact, I pretty much gave up on my life. I even tried the suicide route by overdosing on a whole bunch of pills. That didn't work. Can't get sober. That don't work. My religious community doesn't work. Treatment centers don't work. Nothing works. I'm doomed. So I'm just lingering. You know the lingering? You gotta drink because if you don't drink, you get really ill. So I'm just kind of maintaining, waiting for something to happen. And I got up off the floor in a hallway because I was living in an abandoned building at this point, in the same clothes for months. I weighed about a good $130 on a good day. I'm 195 now, so I'm like 65 pounds, right? Less than I do now. You know, I had the sunken black eyes and that gray look we got and the sunken cheeks, and I looked like the bums on the street. I hadn't bathed in I don't know how long, you know. sucking on a pint of Mr. Boston at every opportunity I can get. And if I had money, eat pills. Now, the whole history at non-conference approved dry goods. If you want to know what that's about, I'll talk to you outside about that. Running around with Hep C and urinating blood. And that day when I got up off the floor to go out and hustle money, because if the panhandler gets the money, get to the liquor store, get a pint, drink, pass out, and do it over again. This was my existence. This was a result of me living life on self-will. This was a result of me pointing fingers at everyone, and how come God did this to me? Sound asleep going through life. Sound asleep, sleepwalking through the whole thing. And all my ego could do, all my pride could do, all my illness could do was point to someone else. To tell you I had venom would be to put it mildly. I was hating my mom for committing suicide at this point. I was despising my two younger brothers because one went off to be an actor and one went off to, he went to college and got the corporate job and he was making a success of himself. I hated them for that. Who I really despised was me. I could no longer control my life anymore. And when I got up off the floor, I collapsed. God literally brought me, to my knees, because that's where I landed, on my knees, wailing in tears. But I needed a drink, man. I really needed a drink because I was that sick. And then this moment of truth happened, this moment of clarity, which we will get in that place of desperation. And it is a gift. It truly is a gift from God of desperation to make me reasonable. When someone is reasonable, you can negotiate with them. You can talk to them. When we're not reasonable, when someone's not reasonable, you can't even talk to them. Like most newcomers. Anyway, I just heard 4 guns click. Holy, you're in charge. God made me reasonable. God split me. It did not feel like a gift on June 23rd, 1988. Oh my God. I'm dying. And I knew it. And I need a drink. It's going to kill me. I don't want to die. If I don't get a drink, I'm going to die. I don't want that either. Oh my God, what do I do? Only place left. God made the road so narrow that the only one in front of him was him. In front of me was him. See, guys, whether we like it or not, you can take this or you can leave it here. We were called to sanctity, whether we like it or not. We were born to be saints, whether we like it or not. And if you have a God problem, you know what they used to tell me? Go drink and booze. If you're lucky, we'll kick you back in and make you very reasonable. We were called to sanctity. We were born to be saints. We do God's will. Richie, who spoke earlier, talked about that drunk who he knew would come get him at 2 o'clock in the morning in a diner. That's godly stuff, where we transcend our alcoholism, not rise above it, but we transcend all of that earthly stuff where this is an inconvenience, I can't do it. We go for fun and for free. That's a change. That's a shift in here. With the Spirit, there's transparency from the Spirit right up into here. We think we're thinking, but it's actually God doing it for me. I'm actually not thinking anymore. There's a great author that I love to study. He says, you don't even need the mind. You don't even need to think anymore. Once you're aligned with God, there's no need to think, because intuitiveness will move us. Spirit will move us, and the soul will move us. I seek that which the soul loves, and that's God. My life is not even for me anymore. And if you knew, I know that sounds terribly lame, that I don't have a life and it's not for me anymore. Until we transcend this and we get into the sunlight of the Spirit, we will see we're here to bear witness, to stand at the door, as Sam Shoemaker says, and look for the new one. Look for the youngin' coming in, or perhaps the old-timer who's lost their way. That's why I'm here. To bear witness to this great power, what we do in Alcoholics Anonymous, where we get reborn and resurrected. The book says that. Reborn and recreated. And the only way that can happen is I have to die to self. Doesn't mean I'm going to go back into mama's womb and come out again. But reborn in spirit to the death of self. Where I know I'm walking hand in hand with the Spirit of the universe, the 5th step promises. I know that. And that's not being boastful. That's not being pretentious. You just know. It's an undercurrent of godliness in all you do. Looking for God in the all. Looking for God in all. Listening for it. Seeing it. That's a shift. I'm out of the old lane. That's not going to happen to a guy like me by just going to AA meetings. And I love my AA. It's a Band-Aid on open wound. We get to meet, we share the fellowship, we see friends, we talk, we have fun, we go on outings together, we go to dinners together, we do great things even in the meeting. The fellowship, the spirit of the fellowship, and the fellowship of the Spirit. But my meetings don't treat alcoholism. Because I need to go home, and who follows me is me, that other guy. You know that other guy, or that other woman. Where you're on your knees praying in the morning, and you're parting seas, you're curing diseases in your prayer. You are now Moses in your prayer. And you get up off your knees and go to the front door, and you committed 4 homicides in your head. That fast. All the cells, all the players up in the head. They follow me wherever I go. This is the only place on the planet we can talk about voices in the head, and everyone goes, "Yeah, me too." They're out there, they cart you away. Only Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the greatest things I experienced in AA, one of the most freeing things, liberating things, where I felt at home was when you shared your brokenness with me. What it was like, what happened, what it's like now. And in all 3 phases of those stories, you were able to share your brokenness, your fears, your uncertainties, your doubts, where I didn't feel like I was the only one in the room walking around with that thing. We all got that thing, that stuff, where we swallow hard and get tight. We're going to go there now? You're going to talk about my mom now? You're going to talk about my dad? You're going to talk about my abuse in relationship? We're going to go there now? And you would get up here and share that freely. I'm sitting in the back, crumbling. I'm going, what he just said, my story. Because we all walk away, I just heard my story. I just heard myself. One drunk identifying with another. Not in the solution up front, but at the beginning, our brokenness. Now, I love my big book. It is the method which has resurrected me. But I can't worship my big book. And I can't be an AA lawyer and just come in here and give you a clean, pristine, solution-based talk without qualifying for you and telling you about my brokenness then and my brokenness now. Because I'm still broken. I'm weak flesh, sold unto the slavery of sin, Scripture tells me. The things I want to do, I can't. The things I don't want to do, I do. And I'm still learning. And when I'm in that place, I'm afraid. I was sharing with some folks the other night, July, God willing, I'll turn 59. I can't even believe that. I'm saying that. My dad just turned 80. He looks at me like a kid. But 59, I cannot tell you how many times it has come to me, well, how many more years we got. We're on the other side now, 59. Where are we going with this? Cherish the moments. I have a dear friend of mine who's on the critical list in Florida. He's just a little older than me. He's probably not going to pull through. That's how fast life's a vapor. And we're out. That's fear. And that's my not trusting and relying upon God to care and protect me. That's the agnosticism that kicks in. So for me, I was convinced I'm alcoholic for a long time, and on June 23rd, 1988, it hit deep in here. That I can't get out of my own way, that I need a drink all the time. Even when I don't want to drink, I still need to drink, and the body demanded more alcohol. Once I have one drink, I need the second drink, even though I don't want to. And the second drink demands a third drink, and then Big Book says, thus started one more journey to the silent for Jim, to hell for me. And I knew going in, if I pick up a drink, I know what I'm going to get into, but I need to drink. And when I wasn't drinking, the mind says, yeah, you do need to drink right now. And I'm in this vice grip of the obsession and the craving. The obsession and the craving. And no human power can relieve me of my alcoholism. That's drunk or sober, by the way. Which is the need for God. So what my book does is paint me into a corner after 43 pages. 43 pages about step 1. 23 to 43 about the mind. Over and over and over again. And if I look at doctor's opinion, which talks about the allergic reaction, talks about the psychic change, and talks about the mental obsession, I have another about 10 pages that tell a guy like me, I am screwed and I am going to drink. 29 years sober. There's a bottle of liquor with my name on it just waiting for year 30 to get me. And I think if I think I've risen above that, I'm closer to that drink than anything. A daily reprieve. What am I doing in that daily reprieve? How much am I seeking God? I get up around 5 a.m. Usually around 5 a.m. Go to bed around 11. And if I was to take, let's say it took 1 hour in the morning with prayer and meditation, and 1 hour in the evening with prayer and meditation, there's still a whole bunch of walking around time. And during all those hours, how much of me is in self-reliance and running the show and trying to control the show, and how much of that time am I communing, not communicating, but communing with God? Just me and God. I'm afraid. I'm resentful. I'm uncertain. I'm doubtful. How many times do I practice pause and pump the brakes? Father, what do I do here? Seek counsel. How much time do I commune with God? Or once I get in the car, off I go. And I'll figure it out as I go. That's self-reliance. And how much of my life, how much of our lives has a whole huge thread of self-reliance running through it while I'm getting up to a podium and claiming it's all about God, when it really isn't. I want it to be, but it really isn't. And if I'm writing inventory, I will see how much self-reliance, how much pride, how much ego I got going on. You would think after being homeless for so long and dying of alcoholism, that I would come in here and just snap right up and total God reliance, but I am so broken. And the need for God in that brokenness is the way God works. And the road has narrowed. Step 2 says, came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. You know, I saw you guys doing this. I believe that you believed. I was watching you guys talk about this God in all your affairs, whether you were doing it or not. It was new information for me to hear, because I'm used to running with folks in the street. And that type of element, drunks and junkies and crackhead, that's what I'm used to. And then I come in here and hear something else, and I see something else. Yes? So I believe that you believe, because you would tell your story on how you got out. But I needed my own connection, my own oneness, my own relationship with God. Not knowing. Knowing the path is one thing. Living it is another. I never wanted to be one of those guys who claimed they're spiritual, because as soon as I do that, I lost it. And sometimes it's just a matter of enduring my own imperfections patiently and just waiting for His hand to fix me, because I can't do anything about it. Of myself I am nothing. The Father doeth the works, is what the 12 and 12 says. Of myself I am nothing. The Father doeth the works. Ego doesn't want to hear that. Don't even want to listen to that. But if I can get that at a gut level, that I'm just basically a puddle of jello, that is it, then maybe I can be resurrected. And that is a long way from here to here. But desperation will do it. And once I open up to that in a surrender, a daily surrender, not only June 23rd, 1988, where I got taken from that, but a daily surrender, perhaps I can put another day sober together. It's so easy to take this for granted when you're sober a few years, like, I know what to do. That statement alone is full of pride and ego. My prayers aren't even petitioning anymore. It's pretty much surrendering to God. Father, what do you need for me to do today? What can I do for you today? You tell me where to go. You tell me what to say. You tell me what to do. Of myself I am nothing. You do the work. You work through me. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. They're looking back on their experience, past tense. That I will get to this place of sanity. That I will get to a place of sanity. Wholeness of mind, truth, the solution, godliness. There are many truths in life. Got to pay taxes, if not you go to jail. Freddie's case, we're not so sure we're working on that. If I don't eat for a long period of time, I will get sick and die. If I don't keep the body hydrated, it'll get sick and die and wither away. I need a place to stay, a roof over my head. So I need to pay rent, which means I need a job. Some truths. And the truth is, God will call me home one day and go to another place. That's the truth. You can't get around that. Many truths. Came to believe that the power of yourself can restore us to sanity. Sanity, truth, wholeness of mind, solution. The truth. There is only one truth, my experience has been shown. And that truth is God. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. We've heard this a million times, even in AA. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It begs the question, what is the truth? We talk about our own truth, that I'm alcoholic. That's one. My own truth, I'm an alcoholic. If I drink, I'm going to continue to drink. But what is the truth? And there is only one truth, and that truth is God. And my job is to go from where I am in the back of an abandoned building to experience that power. I can't do that. But God could and would if He was sought. Am I seeking? You'll know my beliefs by my actions. You'll be the judge of that. My response would be to judge that. Am I chopping wood and carrying water? Because at some point, little by slow, if I'm following directions, I will find myself standing in the presence of this powerful God. Literally standing in the presence of a powerful God and no longer standing in the presence of my own demons. That's this infinite God that we come to AA and find for fun and for free. When you go to your therapist, we'll talk about you're in a child for 40 years and I'll stay sick at $100 an hour. God bless them. What kind of insurance you got? Tell the guys on the corner they'll say, have a drink. Forget this. It's crazy. But something happens when I come into Alcoholics Anonymous, the sacred ground, where we get to do godly work. Where we get the smelly, fall-down drunk, put him in a chair, pour him a cup of coffee, and talk to him about hope. And openly share how we were in the same hole. The sacredness of AA. I never experienced something like this anywhere in my life. Because only we have that kind of dialogue with each other. When I could sit down with Thomas and say, Tom, I'm afraid about something. And he would say, I know what you're talking about. No holds barred. I got you. I'm with you. And he'll share some of his stuff. There's no judgments. Two drunks meeting. Heart to heart. Marion always says that. Heart to heart. The language of the heart. So how do I get to this place called sanity? It was simply a point that out of hell, when I'm in the depths of despair, in step one, where I can't stop drinking, that this power is going to take me past, I was appointed to the solution. One of the things I always had to be mindful of is in the second half of the first step, which says life was unmanageable, the essence of that is I'm an alcoholic. I don't know what the day is going to look like when a drink calls and I go drink. No matter how much I don't want to, I'm drinking. I focused in on, I was a homeless bum, I come into AA and I have new clothes, I have a job, I'm bathing a couple of times a day, I'm eating, I got my complexion back, I'm starting to look good, I'm sounding good, my life appears manageable. So I'm focused on the external conditions to keep that looking good. And I lose the first half of the first step that doesn't care what I'm driving, how I look, I'm drinking. Period, non-negotiable. So I need something to take me past that. And that was step two. And we come face to face now with a conception of God. Big book is really clear that God, I'm the one who had the problem with God. God doesn't have a problem with me. We're the ones who had a problem with God, based on a lot of old belief systems, ideas, and attitudes, which page 27 talks about. But God doesn't have a problem with us. There was never a problem with God towards us. It was always me and my contempt towards God, meaning how come I didn't get what I thought I deserved? That's my story. And that can happen while we're sober. Where's my piece of the pie? How come I'm not living here? How come I'm not a circuit speaker? How come I'm not making money? How come he hit Powerball and not me? And it just goes on and on and on, because I'm always striving and never arriving, and I'm never ever satisfied. God could give me a winning Powerball ticket. And in about a week from now, I'm going, yeah, but it's not enough. That's me. But something happens when I get aligned with God. Most of us are happy for a banquet, right, in our name. Oh, I'm happy. Everyone's come to see me. Can I be grateful with an empty belly? When I'm aligned with God, I'm grateful not only for a banquet, but for a tuna fish sandwich, which is all I can afford. I've been in both places where I'm dissatisfied with everything, and I've been satisfied with the little measly pieces I can get because it beat the streets. And when I'm aligned with God, everything's a banquet. Everything's above ground, stuck in air and sober. Everything's a bonus. And how blessed I am. When I look at chapter 2, Agnostic, I feel like it was written for me. One of the most powerful chapters in our book, because they met me where I was. Every time I open up the book, Agnostic, I never denied the existence of some superpower out there. Never denied the existence of the carpenter. Always went to him. Just that I didn't feel he was paying attention to me. And the Czar of the Heavens, I know it's out there, but he lost track of me a long time ago, and he seems to be pretty punishing. I got some issues. The book knew that. I was an atheist. Probably my life looked like an atheist, but it wasn't atheist. God, get me out of this one. I'll never drink again when the handcuffs are on. I'm not an atheist at this point. I needed something tangible. I needed something that I can put my hands on. That was you. I didn't see that coming either. God says, I'm going to put you in AA with a bunch of me at meetings. You're going to see me. You're going to touch me at meetings. You're going to hear my voice through speakers in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. I can't send you to church yet. You won't identify. I can't put you in more treatment. You've done that. I'm going to place you in AA where you're going to see me manifesting through others. It'll bring depth and weight to you. That's just what he did, because my first conception of God was a group of drunks where I got good early direction. I listened to what you guys said out of desperation. And I would see the old-timer Joe and old-timer Frank, and they were there, and I felt safe. Sit next to them. Then when they knew your name, you felt like you arrived. It was all part of the journey. I was feeling at home and safe in Alcoholics Anonymous. And the shift in consciousness was, when's the next meeting? Not like I'd have to go to another meeting. When is the next meeting? Because this was it. The last house on the block. Thank the good Lord. The way God loves me, the way He's shown me, is not by the things He gives me, but so many times by the things He removes. Me, my thinking, my expectations, all of it, my need to control. Being restored to sanity. If I had to be restored to sanity, like someone who's been restored to health, they're out of the hospital, they've been restored to health because they were unhealthy. Hopefully my friend Henry, the reporter, has been restored to health, and I don't have to go to his funeral. I had to be restored to sanity because I was insane. The delusional mind running amok. Seeing the world through fear, hearing the world through fear, speaking to the world through fear. Fear was the buffer. My mind was the buffer. Acting through fear. Everything was fear. 100 forms of fear. Book puts it mildly. Everything was about fear. Because what's wrapped inside the middle of the ego and pride is fear. The 4-letter word. It owned me. That's how I saw the world. Being restored to sanity. The insanity for me, we've heard this a million times. I'm preaching to the choir and some of you guys. Is being stone cold sober, because I always get drunk sober. Get out of treatment, get out of jail, I get drunk sober. Once I get drunk and continue to drink, I'm drinking. I'm on the drunk. I always got drunk sober. Somewhere, my mind said, it won't be that bad. Or it just said, we need to get one, we'll figure it out later. I buy the lie every time. 29 years sober, I cannot do life with just abstinence, because I will buy that lie along the way. My job is to crush the ego and feed the spirit, and if I'm untreated, I will do just the opposite. I don't do well with just abstinence. I don't do well with don't drink, go to meetings. I don't do well with that. I don't do well with live life on life's terms. I fail miserably and double vodka to get out of bed. Restored to sanity, where that lie gets plucked out, because step 10, which we'll talk about later today, talks just about that, where the problem has been removed, where God delivers it to us through the death of me. The death of self is successful living. Now, chapter 2, Gnostics, gives me a couple of really good pieces. It tells me where to find His power. Where do I find God? Always looking out. In the bottom of a whiskey bottle, I will catch fire. And we did. Somewhere in that pint, bang, we get electrified. The world's a great place. I have no fear. I'm feeling connectedness with others. Booze is doing for me what I can't do for myself. I'm more romantic. I'm better looking. I'm taller. I'm rich. I know everything. I love it. Don't let it in, but it always did. That yearning to get right with something, we all have it. Just looking in the wrong place with an allergic reaction once I find it. AA asked me to walk a path that I never walked before, to take 12 steps into my life that I knew nothing about, to have a relationship with this God that I know less about, and the only thing that allowed me to put one foot in front of the other and chop wood and carry water was that fire in here to know Spirit. Carl Jung talks something about this. Just trying to get connected. How do I get rid of this buying the lie all the time, leaving treatment, getting drunk within an hour? Because that's what I would do. Leave treatment, get drunk. The longest I spent out of treatment was treatment center number 5. I'm away for 9 weeks in treatment, and 2 days later, I'm in front of the liquor store, pacing back and forth, feeling the shakes, feeling the anxiety. There was nothing wrong with my body. My mind says, yes, there is. We need a drink, and I bought it again. Here comes homelessness and more despair and more degradation. How come I couldn't see it then? Live life forward, learn it back. How come I couldn't see it then? Because when I'm in a grip of alcoholism, it will not permit me to see it. That's its job. I don't understand why we tell new people, bring the body and the mind to follow. Why? But I want a newcomer to be anywhere near his own mind. Or in my home group. Let's kill the ego and feed the spirit. I always said this thing. Down in Florida, they had this thing where they had the chip system. We give away a white chip and a 30-day chip and so on. And over and over and over and over again, the white chip has come up. Bless their hearts. Because that takes a lot to walk from the back of the room to the front, one day back again. And everyone applauds. Standing ovation for wrecking your life. Way to go. And I just thought, they hate me when I say this. When that guy or that woman walks up for their white chip, if we observed a moment of silence while they walked up, and the impact that would have on a newcomer, we're not applauding your disease anymore. Or we're happy you're here. We're not going to applaud. You can hide in the applause. We're just going to be totally silent while John O'Mary walks up to get the white chip. What an impact. And tell the others, we're not applauding for you anymore. You've killed this person enough. No more applause. And it'd be great if one of the elders said, sit down with me, we'll stop the work tonight. Right now. And you'll go home with the 4th step. With some power. Because that's what we're lacking. Page 45 in the Agnostic says, lack of power is my dilemma. For me, the most important line in my big book. For me, the most important line, lack of power was my dilemma. Another way of saying is, no God, I have problems. With God, no problems. That's it in all I do. And anytime I think I have control of power, I'm mistaken. I'm in for a rude awakening. I'm going to collide with you. I'm going to collide with me because I'm seeing the world through the mind again. So where do I find this God? Deep down within it says the great reality is deep down within. This godliness, I can never be literally separated from the power which we're connected to. It feels like I'm connected. My actions look like I'm disconnected. But there's really never, how can we be separate from the God who created us? One gentleman once told me, you got God's DNA in you. You can't get away from that. I was born with brown hair and brown eyes. I could wish to have blonde hair. I could wish to have blue eyes. I can put lenses in. I can bleach it. When it comes to again, I got brown hair and brown eyes. That's my DNA. It ain't going anywhere. That's God. It follows me wherever I go. How? Lay aside prejudice, old ideas, and contempt about this conception of God that I walked in with, which was this punishing God, this God who took mom from me when I was 14, this God who gave me a dad who's a gangster, doesn't know how to play baseball. I had to beg him to come to my Little League games. That's how I looked at God. I looked at men in the street who were gangsters. They were godly. They had money and juice. They must be godly. I had to let go of all of that. Newcomers tell me, listen, man, I don't know if I can do this program. I don't believe in God. And I laugh at them. I say, yeah, you do. Or you believe in a bag of dope? You believe in a drink? You knew when that went in, you were going to get rocketed. You had total faith and dependence upon a shot of booze or something else that was going to take you from where you are to feeling wonderful. You believe in something great. You never had a problem with that. And sometimes we focus on, Joe has a problem with God. No, he doesn't. He already believes in God. It's the bag of dope, it's the drink, it's the pill. And even further than that, he really worships his own mind because whatever his mind tells him or her, we do. He does. The mind is Buddha, Allah, and Jesus rolled into one. And if we look at our first step, that's exactly what, there's no problem believing. And this work speaks so loudly for the power that cannot be spoken about once we're in the world of the Spirit. Being restored to sanity. And why? When I see you solving your problems upon the simple reliance upon the Spirit of the universe, I have to stop doubting the power of God. The God idea worked for you. Now I needed to make it work for me. My way doesn't work. Lay aside prejudice. Go in. The journey is always in. And you were bearing witness. You were giving testimony to this power. That's why it frustrates me sometimes when I go to a meeting or I go to a conference and I hear 8 or 10 speakers and no one talks about God. No one glorifies God. And if they do, they're looking for self-glorification in that. How many conferences do we go to? How many workshops do we go to? How many local meetings we go to? We hear a long war story and maybe a sprinkling of God in there where the whole thing should be about God because that's what we're here for. How else is a newcomer going to get sober? By my power? By my knowledge? By my insight? My power and my knowledge is weakness to God. But because I got almost 30 years, something like, I've risen above this. Listen to me, kid. I'll just tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you what I did. And if you want what I have to offer you, walk with me. Step 3 was the decision to get to this power. A dear friend of mine says, the line, rarely have we seen a person fail, thoroughly follow this path. He says it really looks like this. Rarely have we seen a person thoroughly follow this path. If any of you guys get a chance to hear Rich B, go hear him. Rarely have we seen a person fail. Fail at what? God consciousness, sobriety. And the bill makes it really clear. Thoroughly follow this path. Not like, a step a month. Thoroughly, or do it my way. Follow this path. What path? The path in the big book. Constitutionally incapable of being honest. We know cats like that. They're just in and out for years. They can never see the truth. We have the capability of being honest. Like this container here with soda. The container's fine, the soda's fine right now. If I leave it and come back next year, it won't be drinkable. The container's fine. I just need to empty out what's in there and fill it with God's Spirit. That's us. The container just gets a little older, but it's still a container. Always with the ability to fill with God's Spirit. But I can't fill it with what's already in there. It needs to be poured out. It needs to be emptied out. And 4 through 9 will do that. Just remove what's there. And as the removal happens, less me, more God, less me. There was a requirement. I had to be convinced that my life on self-will can hardly be a success. Drunk or sober, all I have to do is look at my first step. Guys, if you're having a problem with step 3 about turning it over to this hocus-pocus God out there, you don't have a step 3 problem. You don't have a step 2 problem. You have a step 1 problem. If you have a problem with inventory, you have a step 1 problem. Once we know the directions and we have a sponsor, and I'm not doing it, I don't have a problem. There is no struggle. Struggle is a delusion to the truth. I know the way out. I just can't get there because I don't want to. Somehow there's a benefit, there's a payoff to staying sick. As crazy as that sounds, my sponsor always reminds me what the big book says. Pieces, Peter, you forgot. You're mentally ill. Only mentally ill people would find a benefit, a payoff to staying sick. How many meetings do we go to? Sounds like a second column meeting on what they doing or did to me. We like that. It's drama. It's something. Which means I have now a pass to talk poorly about you, which elevates me. We love that stuff. Am I willing to play on terms other than my own? And the part of me that created the problem is not where I'm going to any longer to solve the problem. I'm going to be seeking this God. It's just a decision. But the decision is to get there. If I'm sitting home, eating Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and my clothes are too tight, and I walk up the steps and I'm out of breath, look like half the room just got uncomfortable. I say to Marion, I bottomed out. I want to get in shape. I'm getting in shape. That's it. And I get a really expensive membership, and I go to Target, I buy all the gym clothes, I get the little watch that tells me if my heart's beating or not. You know, those guys, they go, oh, let me see, I'm good, you know. The definition of existence comes from a watch. And I get all this stuff, and I sit on the couch, got the membership, got the clothes, got the big bottle of water. You always tell new people who are new in the gym they got a big bottle of water. And I don't go to the gym. I've made a decision. I'm still out of shape. I need to get up, go to the gym, and even open an envelope. Do something. Get on a treadmill. Work out. In doing, I succeed. It's something better than nothing. So step 3 is the decision to go to the gym. What gym? The AA gym, and work out in the spiritual gym called AA. Now, I can go to that gym and get there an hour early. Help them set up, put new towels out, greet people when they come in. And after 90 days, I know the gym, I know all the equipment, I know everyone in the gym, I know the place, the people who run it. And I see them on the way out because they hang out an hour after the gym closes. And after 90 days, I hate you because you're in shape after 90 days and I'm in worse shape. Because I did nothing but hang around. In the spiritual gym, I need to work out. Which means I get a trainer that's called the sponsor who's going to open up the big book and begin to walk me through. Now, anytime you work out, you know after the first couple of days you're going, this was a bad idea, I can't move. You walk around the house, how's it working? Pretty good so far. You can't wash your hair, your arms are shaking. And if you work out on the legs, you go down the steps, you'll fall down the steps, they're all rubbing. We look like we're one day back after 3 days in the gym. And you say, this isn't working. You're going through the book, you're saying, oh my God, why did I even start with this sponsor? I wish he'd just go away, he's calling me. Where's my assignment? And you can take your 4th column and stick it, But then after a while when I work out in the gym, I like to run. That's my thing, I run. And you hit that marker that you were calling 911 a week ago about, and you go past the marker, and you come back, and the next day at work you got a snap in your step, and you're feeling good, and the pants fit, and you're looking forward to the next. You got to go run now. I like the effect produced by running and working out. I like the effect produced by this work. I'm not listening to so many voices anymore. I love the effect produced by God that's coming to me. What a great decision I made. I'm willing to play on someone else's terms. I don't even want to look at my terms anymore. I'm starting to discern my terms and God's terms. I've been awakened. Little by slowly, the Spirit's starting to flourish, and I didn't get to step 4 yet. Huh? It says, God, I offer myself to thee. When we did the 3rd step prayer, we wrote it out word for word as it appears on page 63. By the way, bottom of 62, top of 63, that is the 3rd step consideration. The prayer is an affirmation to live along those lines. And then we wrote out our interpretation, line by line, of what that prayer means to me, in my language. So when I said, God, I offer myself to thee, I heard something. God, I'm giving you me. Okay, got it. To build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. We stop right there. To build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. I'm telling God, you take me like the wretch I am and you do whatever you want with me. My hands are off the wheel. What an order. I can't go through it. The ego doesn't want to hear this. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them. What are my current difficulties? I'm not drinking. I'm in step 3. Or I had a drink yesterday, 2 days ago. What are my difficulties? Me and my thinking mind. And all the manifestations of self. Relieve me of the bondage of self. Another way to take away my difficulties. Prayer brings death to every identity that does not come from God. And something happens when we have a prayer life, where the shackles that have been put around our wrists by ourselves and the key's been thrown away, somehow we unlock the shackles and we begin to stand free with nothing between me and God. Blessed are the poor in spirit. There's nothing between me and God. I stand before my Creator in the raw on most days. It feels uncomfortable, but it's wonderful because I get all of God. I get to fill with God. Not look at me, Pete Marinelli, there's CDs with my name on it. I sponsor a whole bunch of men. Who am I impressing? Me. I'm not impressing you. God made me. He's not impressed. He's like, I gave it to you. Who are you talking to? You notice my God sounds like he's from Bensonhurst. Victory over them may bear witness. Be living proof of those I would help, of your power, your way of life. May do your will always, nothing about me. I'm about to go in with God. And that decision is carried out having a permanent effect if I do 4, which means I'm going to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, into the world of the Spirit. I can't go into 4 without going in with God, because I'll just reinvent myself. I'll discern, not this, I'll put that on there. But God's about to take me by the hand and go into the dungeon and uncover, discover, and He'll decide what to discard to get me free, which means a pruning of the tree, which feels uncomfortable. We recoil. I don't want to look at that. But it's needed. How free do we want to be? And if I'm here this morning and I'm feeling pretty joyful about my life, don't you like the effect produced by that? I love the effect produced by booze. I'm drunk, I want to get drunker. I'm free, I want to get freer. But if you're here this morning, whether you got 1 day, 10 days, or you're here for a while, and you know in here there's a disconnection. In here, you're just not right. The ego has rebuilt itself. And you're afraid to tell someone because we know you're Joe or Mary with 30 years or 25 years. Submit yourself once more. And how do we do that? Just go back to God. Whether you think He exists or not. Say, Father, relieve me of this. Because the best thing I can do some days is throw my brokenness and my sinfulness at His feet and just beg for mercy. Those prayers are always answered. Always answered. When I ask for the promotion, sometimes I don't get it. When I ask for new companies, sometimes I don't get it. When I ask for money to be in the account, sometimes I don't get it. But when I ask altruistically, please take this from me, just let me know you better, those prayers are always answered. And step 3 is about going back to this God and say, you take me like the wretch I am. What I have done doesn't work. In fact, the book is really clear. The wording was, of course, quite optional. It's the intent at which we go to God with. If I never heard the 3rd step prayer and I get on my knees somewhere and say, Father, my life's a mess, please fix it, I'll do anything. That's just as powerful if the intent is pure. That's all God's interested in, a true heart. And desperation will give me a true heart. No conditions. And once we do that, something happens. We get rocketed. We hear the stories. We heard 2 stories so far. Where folks went from dark to light. I bet if we took turns up at this podium, we all had the same story. How dark it was before the dawn. The book's not asking much. If we think about the conditions the book's giving us, the spiritual disciplines with which to live by, it's like kissing a newborn. You ever hold a newborn, that beautiful baby smell, the look in the eyes, you just melt when you have a newborn in your arms. That's what the book's asking us to do when I compare it to what I did to keep the drunk going. There's no humiliation here. There's no degradation. There's freedom. There's God. There's us. That's all I got. Peace.